Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed what happens when you stop giving someone the attention they're used to? Especially a woman who has grown comfortable with your constant calls, texts, and presence. The moment you go silent, the moment you pull back, everything changes. And that's when the truth about her feelings is revealed, not in what she says, but in how she reacts when you ignore her. When you ignore her, you're doing something most men are too afraid to do. You're breaking the pattern. You see, women are incredibly intuitive, but they're also incredibly responsive to the attention they receive. If you've been feeding her with constant reassurance, constant validation, and constant presence, she begins to expect it as normal. She doesn't even have to work for it anymore. But the moment you pull back, the moment you decide to stop giving her what she takes for granted, that's when you trigger something powerful inside her. At first, she might act like she doesn't care. She might post something online, laugh louder in public, or pretend she's too busy. That's just her ego talking. But inside, she's wondering why. Why isn't he giving me the same energy anymore? What changed? That silence you give her forces her to sit with her own thoughts. And let me tell you, silence is louder than any words you could ever say. When you ignore her, you take back control of yourself. You show her that your attention is valuable, not free. And here's the truth. Attention is currency in relationships. The one who gives it away too freely loses power. The one who controls it sets the rules. She'll notice this shift. Suddenly, you're not the predictable man she can depend on to always be available. Suddenly, you've become the challenge. And women are drawn to challenge. But understand this clearly. Ignoring her isn't about being cruel. It's about balance. It's about teaching her that your world doesn't revolve around her. The moment she realizes that, she has two choices. Either she steps up, respects you, and invests more, or she exposes the fact that she was only there for the attention, not for you. And trust me, either way, you win because you finally see her true intentions. She'll try to test you. She might reach out in subtle ways, liking your posts, dropping hints, or even starting small arguments just to get a reaction. Why? Because when a woman feels ignored, her instinct is to fight for the attention she lost. And that's when the dynamic changes. She starts chasing you. She starts thinking about you. She starts valuing the presence she once overlooked. So when you ignore her, this is what she'll do. She'll reflect, she'll react, and she'll reveal. She'll reflect on why your energy has shifted. She'll react in ways that might confuse you at first. And most importantly, she'll reveal who she truly is and what she really wants from you. And that, my friends, is where your power lies. Have you ever stopped to realize how much your attention is worth? People think money is the greatest currency in relationships, but they're wrong. It's not money, not gifts, not promises. The most expensive thing you will ever give to another person is your attention. Because when you give it, you're giving something you can never get back. Time, energy, focus, once it's spent, it's gone forever. That's why attention is currency, and you have to expend it wisely. Most people don't understand this. They throw their attention everywhere, on people who don't deserve it, on distractions that waste it, on situations that drain it. They don't realize that the more freely you give it away, the less value it carries. When you constantly give your attention to someone without boundaries, without balance, it becomes cheap. And once your attention becomes cheap, you become predictable, replaceable, and overlooked. Think about it. When someone doesn't have to work for your attention, they stop valuing it. They start assuming it will always be there. They start taking you for granted. But the moment you withdraw it, the moment you stop feeding someone with the constant supply of your time and energy, that's when they suddenly notice how powerful it really was. That's when they realize the impact your attention had on their life. Attention is currency. And like any form of wealth, you need to budget it, invest it, and protect it. You wouldn't hand out your money to people who waste it. So why would you hand out your attention to people who don't appreciate it? Every time you pour your focus into someone who doesn't respect it, you're bankrupting yourself emotionally. Every time you chase someone who gives you nothing in return, you're depleting your energy account. And every time you allow distractions to steal your time, you're losing interest on the most valuable investment you'll ever own, yourself. When you realize this, everything changes. You start becoming selective with who you give your attention to. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop begging for scraps of validation and start creating standards. Because your attention is not free, it's earned. And only those who respect it, reciprocate it, and value it deserve to receive it. Attention is currency, but unlike money, you can't make more of it. Every second that passes is gone forever. That's why it's priceless. So imagine wasting it on someone who doesn't even care. Imagine spending it on a relationship that drains you instead of building you. Imagine giving it all to someone who was only interested in the power of having it, not in appreciating the person behind it. The truth is, when you protect your attention, you elevate yourself. You instantly create value because scarcity creates demand. When you're not always available, when you're not always responding, when you're not always giving, people begin to notice the difference. They begin to realize that your presence is not guaranteed. And the moment they feel your absence, they feel your worth. That's the power of controlling where your attention goes. So from today, treat your attention like money. Budget it. Don't spend it on everyone. Don't waste it on people who haven't earned it. Don't throw it at situations that won't grow you. Invest it in yourself, in your goals, in the people who actually care, and in the life you want to build. Because the greatest returns will never come from chasing attention. They will always come from mastering it. Attention is currency. And once you understand that, you'll stop living like a beggar who gives it away freely and start living like a king who knows exactly where to expend it. Have you ever noticed how powerful silence really is? People underestimate it, but silence is one of the strongest tools you can ever use in human interaction. Words are everywhere. Everyone talks, everyone explains, everyone tries to prove their point. But the moment you go silent, everything changes. Silence creates curiosity. It forces people to think, to wonder, to question. And that's where your real power lies. When you stop responding the way they expect you to, you disrupt the pattern. Most people live on predictable reactions. They know if they say something, you'll answer. They know if they do something, you'll chase. They know your energy is always available. But the day you choose silence instead of constant explanation, the day you choose stillness instead of noise, you instantly shift the dynamic. Suddenly, they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know how you feel. They don't know what your next move is. And that unknown creates curiosity. Curiosity is powerful because it pulls people toward you without you having to chase them. The more you speak, the more predictable you become. The less you reveal, the more they crave to know. That's why silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is confidence. Silence is mystery, and mystery is magnetic. Think about it. When someone withdraws their words, don't you instantly start to wonder what's going on in their mind? You replay past conversations, you analyze their behavior, you even look for clues in small details. Why? Because silence creates a vacuum, and human nature hates a vacuum. When you don't fill the space with noise, they start filling it with their own questions. And that's when they begin to invest their energy in you. The problem is, most people fear silence. They're so uncomfortable with it that they rush to break it. They over-explain, they over-text, they over-call because they think silence means disinterest. But here's the truth. Silence doesn't push people away. Silence makes them lean in. Silence makes them pay attention. Silence makes them notice what they were too distracted to see before. In relationships, silence is often more effective than arguments. Instead of begging for respect, instead of pleading for love, instead of fighting for attention, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back, say nothing, do nothing. Let silence speak for you. Because silence doesn't just create curiosity, it creates clarity. It reveals who truly values you and who only values the attention you give. If someone cares about you, your silence will disturb them. They'll wonder why you've pulled away. They'll feel the absence of your words. They'll chase the connection you once gave freely. But if they don't care, your silence won't matter. And that's exactly the answer you need. That's how silence protects your energy. Silence is not empty. Silence is full of meaning. It's full of power. It's full of the unspoken message that says, I don't need to prove myself to you. And when you carry yourself with that level of control, you no longer operate from desperation. You operate from strength. The more you speak, the more you reveal. The more you reveal, the easier it is for people to predict and manipulate you. But when you master silence, you control the narrative. You let people wonder. You let them think. You let them come to you. That's the beauty of silence. It puts you in a position of authority without you lifting a finger. So remember this: silence creates curiosity, but curiosity creates movement. And movement always brings truth to the surface. If someone is really invested, they'll break the silence, they'll reach out, they'll try to reconnect. If they don't, they've just revealed their lack of care. Either way, silence gives you the answer that words never could. From today, don't be afraid of silence. Use it. Guard your energy with it. Let people earn the sound of your words. Let your absence speak louder than your presence ever could. Because silence is not the absence of communication. It's the highest form of it. And once you understand this, you'll never fear going quiet again. You'll realize that silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's power. And it always, always creates curiosity. When you shift your energy, when you stop giving her the constant attention she's used to, when you finally pull back and choose silence over chasing, something interesting happens. Her ego will fight back. At first, it won't be her heart that reacts. It will be her ego, because the ego hates to lose control. The ego hates to feel ignored. The ego hates to feel like it's no longer the center of your world. You see, when you've been consistent with your attention, your validation, and your presence, she starts to expect it. She becomes comfortable knowing you'll always be there to answer, to compliment, to reassure. That consistency builds her sense of control. But the moment you stop feeding that cycle, the moment you stop responding the way she expects, you trigger her ego, and the ego never goes down quietly. Her ego will fight back in subtle ways first. She might ignore you back, thinking she's matching your energy. She might post things to get your attention, hoping you'll feel triggered to return. She might even act colder, sharper, or more distant, not because she doesn't care, but because she's testing. She wants to see if her silence will break yours. She wants to see if you'll fold and give in. That's her ego trying to regain control. Understand this clearly. When her ego fights back, it's not necessarily a sign she doesn't care. It's often the opposite. It means your withdrawal has unsettled her. It means your silence has made her question her influence over you. But because admitting vulnerability is hard, she covers it with ego-driven behavior, pride, distance, and little power games. The worst mistake you can make is reacting to this too quickly. The moment you rush back in, the moment you over-explain, the moment you give her the reassurance she's trying to extract, you lose the ground you just gained. You tell her without words that your attention is still in her control. That's why patience is key. You have to recognize the difference between her ego's reaction and her heart's truth. Her ego will fight back with games, but her heart will reveal itself in silence. If she truly values you, she won't let pride destroy the connection. She'll eventually soften. She'll eventually reach out. She'll eventually show her care, not just her ego. But you'll never see that side if you cave in too quickly to the first sign of resistance. Remember, the ego thrives on immediate reaction. When you don't react, when you hold your ground, the ego loses its power. And when the ego loses power, the truth is revealed. That's when you find out whether she really values you or if she only valued the attention you gave her. Her ego will fight back because that's human nature. Nobody likes to feel replaced, ignored, or unimportant. But your job is not to fight her ego with your own. Your job is to stay calm, stay consistent, and stay focused on your value. You don't need to prove your worth through endless chasing. You prove your worth by knowing when to step back, when to stay silent, and when to let the ego battle itself out. In that moment, you create clarity. You create space for truth. Because if she truly wants you, she will break her own pride. She will push past her ego to reconnect. And if she doesn't, then her ego was always bigger than her love. And that's your answer. So never forget this. When you change your behavior, when you stop feeding her with constant attention, her ego will fight back. She may resist, she may play games, she may test your patience, but don't be fooled by the noise. Ego is always loud in the beginning. But the heart speaks quietly in the end, and the one who has the strength to wait, to hold their ground and not give in too soon, is the one who discovers the truth hidden beneath her ego. Because in the end, her ego may fight back, but it's her heart that will decide if she stays. Respect is one of the most valuable things you will ever have in this life. It's worth more than attention, more than compliments, more than temporary affection, because respect is the foundation of every healthy connection. Without it, love fades. Without it, loyalty breaks. Without it, relationships collapse. And yet, so many people go through life begging for respect instead of demanding it. They beg for someone to treat them right. They beg for someone to notice their worth. They beg for someone to give them the very thing they should be commanding by the way they carry themselves. Here's the truth. Respect is not something you chase. It's not something you plead for. Respect is demanded, and it is demanded not through words, but through presence, through boundaries, through action. The moment you start begging for respect, you've already told the world you don't believe you deserve it. And the moment people sense that, they give you the bare minimum because they know you'll accept it. When you demand respect, you're not being arrogant. You're being clear. You're telling the world, this is my standard. This is how I expect to be treated. And if you cannot meet it, you cannot be in my space. That level of self-worth doesn't push away the right people. It attracts them because the right people will always recognize and appreciate boundaries. It's only those who want to exploit you, use you, or belittle you who get offended when you demand respect. Think about it. Why do some people always seem to get treated well while others constantly feel overlooked? It's not luck. It's not chance. It's the energy they carry. People can sense who respects themselves and who doesn't. If you allow disrespect, if you tolerate being spoken to carelessly, if you keep giving to people who never give back, you're teaching them how to treat you. And once you teach them that you'll accept less, that's all they'll ever give you. Respect begins with you. You can't demand it from others if you don't give it to yourself first. If you constantly doubt yourself, put yourself last, or shrink just to keep others comfortable, you're sending the message that you don't see your own worth. And people mirror that back to you. But the moment you stand tall, the moment you start honoring your own time, your own energy, your own boundaries, that's when people realize they cannot come to you with anything less than respect. Understand this. Begging for respect is desperation. Demanding respect is self-love. And there's a huge difference. Desperation pushes people away. Self-love attracts them. When you beg, you're chasing. When you demand, you're leading. And leaders never beg for recognition. They create standards that others either rise to meet or fall away from. In relationships, this is everything. If you beg for respect from someone you love, you'll end up settling for breadcrumbs. You'll end up explaining your worth over and over to someone who has already decided not to see it. But when you demand respect, you stop wasting energy on convincing people. You simply walk away from anyone who cannot meet your standards. And trust me, walking away is one of the loudest ways to demand respect without ever raising your voice. In friendships, in work, in family, it's the same. You don't have to scream, you don't have to fight, you don't have to beg. You simply show people through your actions what you will and will not tolerate. And the ones who truly value you will always rise to meet your expectations. The ones who don't will fall off, and that's not a loss, it's protection. So let this be a reminder. Stop begging for respect. Stop explaining your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. Stop lowering your standards just to be accepted. Because the truth is, the moment you stop begging and start demanding, everything shifts. People treat you differently. Situations align differently. Your energy attracts differently. Respect is not optional. Respect is not negotiable. Respect is the bare minimum. And it is never begged for. It is demanded by the way you live, the way you speak, and the way you choose yourself every single time. Because in the end, begging for respect keeps you small. Demanding it makes you powerful. And once you understand that, you'll never settle again. And as we close this message today, I want you to remember one thing clearly. Life will always test how much you value yourself. People will push boundaries. Some will try to take more than they give. Some will try to measure your worth based on what you can do for them instead of who you are. But in every one of those moments, you have a choice. You can either shrink, beg, and accept less than you deserve, or you can stand tall, walk with dignity, and demand the respect that was always yours to begin with. Respect is not a gift, it's a standard. And when you refuse to lower that standard, you will lose some people, yes. But understand this, the wrong ones will always leave when you choose yourself, and that's not a loss. It's a filter. It's life removing what doesn't belong so that space can be created for what truly does. So from this day forward, stop chasing validation. Stop pleading for recognition. Stop watering yourself down just to fit in. Your respect, your worth, your value, it's not up for negotiation. And the moment you carry yourself with that truth, the world will have no choice but to treat you the way you deserve. Because respect is not begged. Respect is demanded. And you right now have the power to demand it.